Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ask an Expert. And I'm really pleased to be joined by Kat Crisp. And I met Kat through the Younger in Britain Challenge. And Kat has sort of set up her own, I guess, is it a CIC?
Yeah, social
Called
enterprise. Yep.
Social Action Innovation for All, which is centered around this idea of social action. And Kat, I'm going to throw over to you to just introduce a little bit more about the Younger in Britain Challenge and kind of what it is you do.
Brilliant. Thanks, Paul. And hi, everyone. So I co-lead the Young Green Britain Challenge together with Laura from Gen Earth, an amazing team of people that includes Ministry of Eco Education, Eco Vida Roots, and an increasing number of sort of brilliant people and partners, teachers, volunteers, ambassadors. So we are a sort of a big collective, I think. Young Green Britain Challenge is a green innovation program. So what we are trying to do is combine sustainability education with youth-led local climate action. So what does this actually mean in practice? Each school, and we work with state and special schools, picks one year group of students to participate in Young Green Britain Challenge. That could be anywhere from year 7 to 10 or older within the special schools. And teachers then start by launching the program and using our lessons to enable students to explore local causes and impacts of climate change. So topics include powering the future, transforming transportation, future fashion, green cuisine, circular economy, nurturing nature. And then students team up to tackle one of those issues, an issue of their choice. And our team, the Young Green Britain team, then goes into schools to run a one-day workshop where students sort of explore their chosen issue in more detail. They brainstorm, they develop, and they prototype ideas. And each team finishes the day presenting an idea for local climate action. And that could be a campaign idea, it could be a business idea, it could be a volunteer project or a product. So we're quite open to a whole range of different types of solutions. And we also have a brilliant team of volunteers who come and support us in that work, and some of whom continue to mentor the teams afterwards. So after the design workshop, then schools will run in the next sort of couple of weeks an eco dragon's den, as we call it. And there is an opportunity to get seed investment to bring their ideas to life. And I think that's really the key piece here is it's about putting ideas into action. So around 5 teams in each school will then sort of continue to put their ideas into action. And then in sort of late in the summer term, we have opportunities to celebrate that. So we're going to be having regional events this year, national celebration events, and teams can win up to £1,000 investment to really take their ideas to the next level.
What then has been some of the impact? So this is we're now in the third year.
We're just starting the third
Yeah.
year at the moment. Yes, yes. So the challenge is a deep engagement really for a year group of students. And the whole year group starts the challenge in a sort of a smaller cohort from them, I suppose, go all the way through. And we're looking at creating change both at individual level and for schools. So we've had 2 pilot years, and in those years we've worked with just over 6,000 students. And this year we're going to be more than doubling in size. So we're working with over 40 schools and over 7,000 students. And in terms of the impact for students, we're aiming to build knowledge around climate change, transferable skills, and sort of address hope and agency, because it can be pretty depressing, really, in many ways. So, and our data, so we do surveys after the design sprint for all students, and our data is telling us that we are having success on those measures. So 90% of students told us they learnt more about climate change. 80% felt that they learnt important skills for their future. And there we're looking at skills like communication, collaboration and teamwork, creative problem solving. And as they continue to put their ideas into action, more that sort of leadership and resilience as well. And we do have accreditation from Skills Builder Partnership as well for the design workshops. And then 81% told us they felt more hopeful, which is a really important metric, I think. And then we're just now starting to see the wider impact of the actual projects, so which are very wide ranging because they are student led.
What kinds of, so, there's some really innovative and exciting projects, but they've also got real longevity, isn't there?
Yeah.
We've got projects, or there are projects in the Young and Written Challenge that existed in year one and are still going on now. Is that right?
Yes, yes. So we've got so there's a range of sort of different, really creative things that we never could have envisaged. So one of the teams in a school in the first year, they started up an eco stationery shop. And then in last year, the school essentially took on running that. So that all of the stationery that's sold in the school is now more environmentally friendly. So that's been kind of a systems change that will continue. We've had a team who were working on composting, gardening in their own school. They then not only did they very successfully have seed sales, grow food for the canteen, and have their own wormery, but they used their prize funding to then take that to lots of other schools. So they then had a kind of a gardening kit that they took out to 17 other schools across the local area. So that's just sort of two examples, I suppose, and you can have a look on our YouTube and website and things and see some more.
Cool. We'll make sure we link those. So this Younger in Britain challenge actually is kind of a long journey of lots of things you've been involved with. Just what kinds of things have you been involved with in the past? What's your previous experience?
Oh, very, I mean, my sort of career experience is very mixed, which is, I think, an interesting one in terms of innovation because it's always about moving between different areas. So, ranging from private sector to social work into then sort of social care. But the kind of direct sort of precursor, I suppose, to what I'm doing now is working for the last 10 years with UNICEF, first in the UK. And then in their global innovation team, I was sort of leading the scale up of their youth-led social innovation work, particularly a program called Upshift, which is you will see strong links between that and the Young Green Britain Challenge in terms of how you use design thinking as a tool to identify and solve challenges that you see around you in your local community. And I was doing a lot of work advocating for that to be into kind of education systems and things globally, and then thought, hang on a minute, what are my own children getting? What are the opportunities here in schools in the UK? So that was really the catalyst then for setting up social innovation for all, was how can we look at sort of changing and supporting education differently in England?
And I guess you've hinted at it slightly there, but why is social action so important? Why is it important for young people to engage with this as part of their learning experience?
Yeah, so I think if we look at social action, I suppose, as a form of project-based learning within the sort of education context, and I think there are enormous benefits at both an individual and a community level. So the process itself, regardless of the outcomes, the process itself builds huge amounts of skills. So it's much easier to have an idea than it is to actually get one off the ground. So you learn an awful lot in that process around communication, teamwork, problem solving, leadership, resilience, because things will go wrong. And even in that sort of process of idea development, so we see it really within the design workshops and things, that sort of teamwork and the negotiation and the communication are often things students don't get a real opportunity to do. And we see that going wrong as well as going right. There will inevitably, when you have a group of a couple of hundred sort of students, be some real flashpoints in terms of teamwork. But it's that learning process to sort of work through those as such key skills as you sort of go on with whatever you're doing in life. And the other thing I think is just that sort of broader community and citizenship piece. So actually being an active citizen brings a lot of positive. There's sort of quite a bit of evidence about the positive benefits it brings in terms of mental well-being and mental health as well, which when we look at the sort of current crisis in that space is a very interesting area that I think merits further exploration.
And well, so the Younger Britain Challenge isn't the only thing you've got going on at the moment. There's a kind of wealth of projects and different things you're doing. I wondered if you wanted to just touch on some of the other projects or some of the future things that you're kind of exploring at the moment.
Yeah, so I think as we're sort of looking at the moment about, where do we take, where and how do we take Young Green Britain Challenge forwards? And I think, ultimately, I suppose our goal is that we're able to create change in different ways within education such that we don't actually need to exist in the longer term, would be the sort of the holy grail. And I think there are a number of things we're doing that sort of to support that. So one of the really interesting areas that we're starting to pilot this year is around project qualifications. So which is partly linked to Young Green Britain and sort of partly building on that. So the higher project qualification is perhaps not so well known because the extended project qualification, I think a lot of people within education have heard of within sixth forms. The higher project qualification is a level 2 version of that qualification, with the foundation project qualification being a level 1. And we are part of a pilot that Pearson EdXL are running this year to look at how we can link Young Green Britain Challenge to a higher project qualification, working with a cohort of students in Manchester in the Co-op Academy Bellevue together with them. So we're going to learn a lot from the data around that they're doing around that, but also explore how we can bring that kind of qualification element and accreditation element to what is largely an enrichment program, I suppose, at the moment. Also working with a sixth form college in Manchester again, together with sort of Martin Folks, to look at how we can do extended project qualification. So it is sort of an building together the sort of Young Green Britain Challenge and the previous work with UNICEF. It's an upshift for sustainability. So how again can we put a qualification around that, but do something with the EPQ framework that isn't about writing a sort of a long essay. It's about creating change in your community. We've got a primary version of oh, you looked like you were about to say something.
Well, no, I was going to say you've got all the age groups covered. I was just going to check HPQ. What age group is that aimed at?
It can be, so it would probably, so we're working with year 8.
Okay.
Um, it can be anywhere probably from year 8 up to, GCSE age, because it is a level 2 qualification. One of the things we will learn is whether, because it's the same framework for foundation, the level 1 and the sort of level 2 qualification of higher. So it may be that some of the students actually it's better suited for them to do the foundation project qualification, but you can use that same format. It doesn't matter if some of the students end up working at foundation level and some are working more at a higher level. So foundation and higher between them will cover that sort of year 7 to 11 kind of space.
And then the primary piece, because you've done some of this already, haven't you?
Yeah, so we've got sort of Eco Pioneers program, which again it is there it's more focused on the kind of climate education, moving into having ideas, and the end point of that at the moment is more about sharing your ideas with decision makers. So although primary schools kind of can go on and actually take some of those and put them into action, it was initially piloted in the sort of SATs to summer gap, as a way of kind of doing something different within that time and using some of those skills that you might need as you transfer sort of to secondary. And therefore it's often about sharing with teachers, governors, local councillors, some of those ideas, and having that opportunity to sort of build communication oracy skills.
So I guess just to finish then, that ideally teachers would be exploring and engaging with this, and maybe that they are part of the Younger Britain Challenge, or in the future there's
Mm.
opportunities for them to participate in any of these aspects. But in the short term, do you think there's any advice you give a teacher in order for them to be able to sort of engage with this a bit more, or
I mean, I think teachers do amazing jobs and in really, really tricky circumstances often at the moment. And I think we're really lucky to be working with teachers who are kind of pretty creative and at times brave, I think, to do things differently. So, this inevitably often will create some extra work because you have to figure out how do you get the hall on a certain day and make the logistics work. So I think I'd just say remember that all of these extra things that you're doing are creating fantastic opportunities, skills, and experiences, and that those are things that students will massively take with them and learn from. So I think just being as creative as you can in putting these opportunities in and in trying to make them happen, and believe that the students will take those and make the most of them. But yeah, I think generally people are doing a fantastic job in pretty tricky circumstances.
yeah. Well, thank you so much for that advice, and thank you for sharing everything in terms of your journey. Um, yeah.
Thank you.